Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. We're live outside the Supreme Court. Good morning, everyone. It's a pretty significant police presence in front of the court. Protesters, about 100 or so in total. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. We're live outside the Supreme Court where a group of about 100 or so protesters have gathered out in front of the court anticipating the Supreme Court releasing at least one opinion at 10 o'clock this morning. There is a heavy police presence now outside the court. A group of police officers have created a line in between the protesters. Both sides have speakers and are yelling and protesting. The police seem to have set up a line in between the protesters and members of the media who are taking photos of what's going on. So we are expecting the Supreme Court to release at least one decision beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern. As we always have, we'll talk through the opinions as they come down. There are still 9 outstanding decisions from argued cases this term. I want to make sure everyone can hear me all right. I'm connected to the microphone on my ear. Just want to make sure you can hear me okay. So beginning in about 24 minutes, the Supreme Court will release one or more opinions. There are 9 outstanding cases we can talk about. Some of the outstanding ones, of course, abortion is a major one. Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization. It's about a 15-week ban on abortion out of the state of Mississippi. That, of course, is the case where there was a leaked draft opinion overturning Roe v. Wade. There were, at one point, according to Politico's reporting, at least 5 votes to overturn Roe v. Wade in that case. It is possible that that case comes down this morning. But again, when the Supreme Court releases decisions, we do not know for sure which decisions they'll release or how many. I will say there is a heavier police presence than normal. That might be because the protesters are a bit more animated. Hey, Doug, how hard would it be to do a walkabout with the protesters with the camera? How difficult would it be to do a walkabout with the protesters with the camera, to take it off, walk around? Let's go walk around and look, just because there's so much happening over there.
How long are you going to do this? A couple hours?
Oh, no. Like 3 minutes.
part of your streaming thing?
Yeah, since we're streaming there too, well, that won't stop the streaming, right? Let's go walk around the protesters. They're pretty animated. I'm going to take you guys over there so you can kind of get a feel for what it's like. We're off to the side where the media is, but I'm going to take you closer to the front where the protesters are. And get Doug to also go with us. We've got a camera. So you can get a feel. You can kind of see there's a pretty big group that's gathered out here. Again, the Supreme Court will begin releasing opinions in about 20 minutes. This is the largest group of protesters I've seen out here this week. This is the heaviest police presence I've seen out here this week, including on Monday when 2 individuals hopped the smaller fence and handcuffed themselves to the taller fence. I'm going to get close so you can kind of see a view. You can see the police officers have lined up and formed a bit of a barricade around the protesters. So you can see what it looks like. See the protesters have gathered kind of in the center in front of the court. There are protesters on both sides of the issue. And you can see there's a pretty strong police presence that they've set up, including motorcycles and officers on bicycles. This is the United States Capitol Police. The Supreme Court also has their own police officers. So that's what's going on. You want to get... This is a pretty... I'd say there are about 100 or so protesters, including those gathered on the side behind me, the sidewalk behind me. Just so you can get a look at what it looks like. Again, those are U.S. Capitol Police officers that have set up around the protesters. In front of the Supreme Court. So again, beginning in 20 minutes, the Supreme Court will begin releasing at least one, potentially more decisions. We can go back. I just wanted you guys to get a good look at what the atmosphere is like out here. So you can kind of see everything that's going on. I'm counting, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, at least 20 police officers, I think more, who have set up around the court in anticipation of decisions coming down today, and about 100 or so protesters. That group seems to be growing, though. There's still police presence right here, outside the court. Do you see Doug? I'm just making sure our camera guy is okay as we're here. He's getting a closer look at what it's like outside the court right now. We just got to make sure everyone stays safe while we're out here. So, as always, we'll talk through each of the opinions as we get them. I just wanted to give you guys a sense of what the atmosphere is like right outside the building right now, so that you could get a feel for it. Yesterday was a quite rainy day outside the court. For those of you who watched that live stream, you saw me standing in a hood. All right, so this is where the media is. We're about 20 steps down. And I'll have my computer so we can walk through the opinions together as we get them. Again, we do not know which opinions we'll get. The Supreme Court has 9 outstanding opinions. That would be a lot to get out in one day, but it's possible that we get the abortion decision today.
The police are setting up a speaker, I guess, to tell them...
The police are setting up a speaker? The police are setting up a speaker?
Yeah, right there.
That's interesting.
It looks like a speaker.
Again, this is not something that they've done before. sounds like the police are setting up a speaker, perhaps to be able to communicate with the protesters. I will reiterate, this is unusual police activity from what we have seen so far this week. This is the third opinion day this week. And nobody knows for sure if we are getting... The police officers are making an announcement on the loudspeaker. They're peaceably separate the groups. So they're telling the protesters, the police officers are telling the protesters right now to separate. They're trying to peaceably separate the groups. And the police officers, this is the U.S. Capitol Police, I believe, for the large part, have told the groups that they're trying to get them to peaceably separate. You guys, and since I have been out here covering, and we've been out here live streaming the opinions. That doesn't necessarily mean or indicate anything in particular, although it appears also the Capitol complex is clearing out. Doug, it looks like they're moving some of the visitors who are in the Capitol complex out and off the grounds. Or Hudson, can you check to see if it seems like they're moving the visitors inside the Capitol complex off the grounds, if they're getting those people out, if it looks like more people are coming out, if they're clearing the grounds over there. I see a chunk of Capitol police officers in front of the steps in the center of the Capitol, and I see two buses, smaller buses, it looks like, of Capitol police officers. I'm just notifying folks on my end.
Looks like people are in line for like the visitor center, but not like...
Are people in line down there and they're allowed to remain down there? Okay.
Looks like it. As of now, at least.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So the Supreme Court will begin releasing one or more opinions beginning in 13 minutes. The way that this goes, there are 9 outstanding opinions from the Supreme Court remaining this term. They could release one, they could release all 9. We do not know how many they will be releasing this morning. We have not been notified of another opinion day next week. So we just don't know what comes next. But beginning at 10 a.m., they will start releasing opinions. If there are multiples, this is how this goes. They will release the first opinion at 10 a.m. on the dot. The second one will come 10 minutes later. They will go in 10-minute increments, 10:10, 10:20, 10:30. They are also released in order of reverse seniority of the justices. So if, for example, Justice Gorsuch, as happened yesterday, has the first opinion out of the gate, he will be the most junior justice with an opinion that day. There will be no opinions, for example, from Justice Brett Kavanaugh or Justice Amy Coney Barrett. So you can kind of use that to gauge who might have the next opinion, or at least know that who doesn't have an opinion after that. All of that will begin at 10 o'clock on the dot. They get uploaded to the Supreme Court's website, supremecourt.gov. You can click opinions if you'd like in the top left. There is just a much heavier police presence than we've seen. Not only are there over 20 police officers who appear to be separating the abortion protesters, I see two separate groups of at least a dozen Capitol police officers who are coming out of vans from the center of the Capitol. And that just has not yet happened on an opinion day that I've seen out here. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to follow along if you would like to follow along. First of all, you can go to scotusblog.com where we've got the live blog going. I'm going to show you guys what the Capitol police officers look like coming up the middle, just so you can see what this looks like. You can see the groups of Capitol police officers coming up the center of the Capitol. All right, so we will get opinions beginning in 10 minutes. 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. The two groups of a dozen or so, and there's a third group. So that's a dozen, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. Now, we have had officers who have lined the fences in between the two. That began since Monday. After two individuals hopped the fence and chained themselves, handcuffed themselves to the taller fence in front of the Supreme Court, when that happened, Capitol police officers then began separating, standing behind the lower fence and in front of the taller fence, lined up right around the time opinions came out. Okay, so we have 7 minutes until the Supreme Court will begin releasing one or more opinions. Yesterday we got 4 opinions. Just for the record, there are 9 outstanding opinions from the Supreme Court. I would be surprised if they got all 9 decisions out today. I know this is the last day on the calendar for Supreme Court opinions, but this is, they would need to get out all 9 opinions by today, and that just would be a significant amount to get out in one day. We don't know for sure. It's possible. We don't find out until 10 o'clock, but 9 would be a lot. Again, they have not told us whether or which days we'll release opinions next week. So this is the last one on the calendar as of right now. So if you want to follow along yourself as the opinions come out, they'll start in 6 minutes. You go to supremecourt.gov, click opinions in the top left, opinions of the court, and I'll show you what the webpage looks like so you know what to look for. This is what the webpage looks like. And do you see this column right here that says R? R number, that refers to record number. And when the Supreme Court puts out opinions, they will populate in that table. You hit refresh at 10 a.m. and the first one will populate at that table. And then if there is no R number, that means there will be at least one more opinion today. If there is an R number, then we know that that's it for the day. So again, there are 9 outstanding opinions, not just on abortion. We're also waiting on a major case on climate change, criminal law issues, President Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. There's a case about that. I don't know why my brightness just went off. Can you guys see me all right? But the scene outside the Supreme Court right now is just an extremely heavy police presence. Not only are Capitol Police officers lining in front of the Supreme Court, they are also lined up along Capitol grounds, and they have closed off the Capitol grounds. There are some individuals who are walking around, some visitors who are walking around who seem to be visiting the Capitol complex or look to be tourists. And then there are a group of protesters in the middle, in the front of the Supreme Court in the middle, who are surrounded by also Capitol Police officers on bicycles and a couple of motorcycles as well. I don't know why my screen is so dark. Let's see, let's try that. Might make it a little bit better. All right, so this is going to start in 4 minutes. Again, there are 9 outstanding opinions. That would be a lot for the Supreme Court to get out in one day, so I would not be surprised if this is not the final day for opinions. But again, it is possible that we get the decision in Dobbs this morning, which is the case where we got a leaked draft opinion where the court, there were at least 5 votes to overturn Roe v. Wade. Sorry, I keep freezing, guys. Can you see me? I just want to make sure everyone can see as we begin to get the opinions coming in. We also had Double Justice's birthday this week. Justice Clarence Thomas' birthday was this week. Justice Sonia Sotomayor's birthday will be tomorrow. So, 3 minutes until we get opinions. A reminder for everyone who's new here, the way that this works. If we get multiple opinions, I'll know right away because we will not have an R number, as I just showed you. And if we get multiples, they'll be released in 10-minute increments. So the first one will be released at 10 o'clock, the second one at 10:10, and so on and so forth. They are also released in order of reverse seniority of the justices. So the most junior justice with an opinion goes first, and the most senior justice with an opinion today that's ready goes last. There is a Capitol Police officer who's about 15 feet from me who just fired up his motorcycle. Again, there are about a dozen police officers in the center of the Capitol complex that is blocked off at the moment, although there also appear to be tourists on the other sides, but they're not letting people walk from the court toward the Capitol. There are a dozen or so police officers behind the protesters. There are over 20 police officers who have surrounded the protesters. There's a group of about 100 or so protesters in the middle of the Supreme Court. So we're going to get opinions beginning in 2 minutes. Go to scotusblog.com if you want to wait. This is the official 2-minute warning. Or you can go to supremecourt.gov and click Opinions of the Court and hit refresh. Right along with us. Again, there are 9 outstanding decisions from the Supreme Court right now. The court has not let us know whether there will be an opinion day next week. This is the last one on the calendar, but that does not mean that it is the final opinion day. It would be a lot for them to get out all 9 opinions today, but that doesn't mean it's not possible that we get the Dobbs opinion today. Again, Dobbs is the major case involving the right to abortion. So I'm going to begin hitting refresh at 10 a.m., where we expect the first opinion of the day from the Supreme Court. We'll know right away if it's the final opinion of the day. I'm going to make sure everyone can hear me all right. Sometimes with the larger opinions, it takes a little while to load on the Supreme Court's website. There's also likely a lot of traffic on the Supreme Court's website right now with everyone hitting refresh at the same time, waiting for the opinion to upload. It used to be done in person, where members of the press would get physical paper copies. Okay, the first opinion is Beshara v. Empire Health Foundation. It is not the final opinion of the day. This is from Justice Kagan. This is about disability benefits and Medicare. It is Justice Kagan, joined by Thomas, Breyer, Sotomayor, and Barrett. Kavanaugh filed a dissenting opinion, joined by Roberts, Alito, and Gorsuch. So the court's 3 liberals in the majority, along with Justices Thomas and Barrett, held that in calculating the Medicare fraction, individuals entitled to Medicare Part A benefits are all those qualifying for the program, regardless of whether they receive Medicare payments for part or all of the hospital stay. The Capitol Police officers on bicycles, just for context, have left the protesters, and they are going down the block. So they are no longer dividing the groups of protesters. This is the opinion that we just got is a very complex administrative law case about the Medicare payment rule. I'm reading the opinion. So, in a dispute over Medicare payments for hospitals, the Supreme Court has sided with HHS, and they rejected a lawsuit from safety net hospitals that are challenging a provision of the department's HHS's complex Medicare reimbursement formula. So again, this is a Justice Kagan opinion. Bashara v. Empire Health Foundation. Justice Kagan is joined by Thomas Breyer, Sotomayor, and Barrett. Kavanaugh filed a dissent, joined by Roberts, Alito, and Gorsuch. We will have at least one more opinion today. There are now 8 remaining opinions from the Supreme Court. 8 outstanding decisions. It is not a guarantee that we get all of them today. That would be a lot for the court in one day. So it is possible we will have at least one more opinion day next week. So the way that this works, as a reminder, remember it goes in order of reverse seniority of the justices. So Justice Kagan just posted the opinion. Nobody on the court more junior to Justice Kagan will have an opinion today, meaning none of the court's appointees from President Trump, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, or Barrett will not have opinions for today. The next opinion will be either from Justice Kagan or someone more senior. As James is pointing out in the SCOTUS blog, live blog at the moment, this is only the second argued case this term that Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh have been in dissent. Not so long ago, Chief Justice Roberts was the swing vote or the median vote. In order to have a majority on the court, you needed to have Justice Roberts, looking at examples like upholding Obamacare. And then that shifted when Justice Brett Kavanaugh replaced Justice Anthony Kennedy on the court. Justice Brett Kavanaugh became the median vote. And I believe it was last year and the year before, Justice Brett Kavanaugh was in the majority close to 97% of the time. So if you wanted to have a majority, you needed to have Justice Brett Kavanaugh voting with you. So as James points out, this is only the second argued case this term where Roberts and Kavanaugh are actually in the dissent. This is a very technical case about Medicare reimbursement. And again, this is not the final decision of the day. We will get at least one more decision in 4 minutes. For those saying that you didn't hear the first decision of the day, it's Bashara v. Empire Health Foundation. It is, guys, this is one of those highly technical Supreme Court cases. It's about Medicare payments. There's a dispute about Medicare payments. The Supreme Court essentially sided with the Department of Health and Human Services and rejected a lawsuit from a group of hospitals, safety net hospitals. Those are the hospitals that have to provide service no matter the ability to pay of the individuals who come in or their insurance. But these group of safety net hospitals had filed a lawsuit challenging a provision of HHS's Medicare reimbursement formula. Again, highly technical case, but the Supreme Court sided with HHS here and rejected that lawsuit from the safety net hospitals. So that's the first decision of the day. I froze again. I don't know why it's freezing so much. Okay, move to a different location. Turn off comments. Will that help it not freeze? Guys, I'm working on the freezing. Doug, do you have your remote, your wireless, we're getting the next opinion in 3 minutes. Do you have a wireless, a Wi-Fi, a hotspot?
Yes, I got 2 of them.
Okay. Is it one, are they both, is anything logged into either of them? Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to log into Wi-Fi. Give me just 1 second. What's the name of that Wi-Fi? MiFi? Verizon MiFi or AT&T?
I'd go AT&T, but there's a 5 gig one.
What's the password?
capital K.
Let me see it. Just let me see it. 9K. MRBVUY. All right, let's see if that works.
Yeah?
We'll try. All right, guys, I've reconnected to a Wi-Fi. Hopefully, how do I turn off the comments? I don't know how to do that. Admin settings, comment settings. Ah, all right, comments are off. Hopefully that helps. Okay, it's 10:09. We're going to get the next opinion in 1 minute. Hopefully that means it's not freezing. Hopefully you guys can see me. I'm not connected to a Wi-Fi. And all right, so we're going to get the next opinion from the Supreme Court right at 10:10. Again, they're released in 10-minute increments. The court has 8 outstanding opinions, so they would need to get all of those out today for this to be the final day of opinions. And that would be a lot for the court. That would be remarkable. So, again, we'll start to get the next opinion in just under 15 seconds or so. All right, I'm going to begin refreshing the Supreme Court's website. We're about to get the second opinion of the day. Again, we'll know if it's the final opinion of the day. Okay, Rob gave me a rose, which I will just take as a thumbs up. Hopefully that means that we are not freezing and we are not messing up here. Okay, so we're refreshing to get the Supreme Court's second opinion of the day. We got the first opinion, which was a complicated Medicare reimbursement case about a group of hospitals that filed a lawsuit against HHS, and the Supreme Court sided with HHS. Right now, the Supreme Court's website is going a little wonky. When you hit refresh, there are no opinions under June. Again, there are 8 outstanding decisions, and we heard from Justice Kagan, so the next opinion could be from this is Dobbs. Okay, this is it. This is it. Hey, guys, this is it. This is it. Okay, this is Dobbs. It's loading. Give me a moment. This is the Supreme Court's decision. The opinion is delivered by Justice Alito. The opinion is delivered by Justice Alito, joined by Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett. Thomas and Kavanaugh have filed concurring opinions. Roberts filed an opinion concurring in the judgment. Breyer and Sotomayor and Kagan have filed a dissenting opinion. Hudson, could you do me a huge favor? Can you get the paper out of the back of my backpack, which is the draft opinion in Roe v. Wade? Thank you. There's more paper in there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Justice Alito, abortion presents a profound moral issue. This is exactly how the draft opinion begins. This is a 213-page opinion. The Supreme Court. The Constitution does not confer a right to abortion. The Supreme Court has overturned the constitutional right to abortion. I'm getting a tweet out, and I'll walk you through the decision. The Supreme Court has overturned the constitutional right to abortion. Doug, can you call Jeff? Okay. 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 I need to. Okay. All right, let's go. Guys, I'm going to have to go live on TV. I'm going to talk you through the opinion at the same time. I need to put in my IFB and turn it on. I need 30 seconds. Okay. Hi. Okay. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready. Hi, good morning to both of you. Breaking news here at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has overturned the constitutional right to choose to have an abortion. The opinion just came down from Justice Alito. It begins in exactly the same way that leaked draft opinion begins. Abortion presents a profound moral issue on which Americans hold sharply conflicting views. Today's opinion begins exactly that way and holds that the Constitution does not confer a right to abortion. So a reminder of what this case is about. It's called Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health, and it is about a Mississippi law that bans abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Before today's decision, a woman in America, a person who is pregnant, had the right to choose to have an abortion up until about 23 or 24 weeks of pregnancy. Under Roe v. Wade in a follow-along case, the right to choose to have an abortion was protected up until what's called the moment of viability, which was when a fetus could survive outside the womb. That was protected under the Constitution. There was a constitutional protection. Today, that right has been overturned, which has the effect of returning the issue of deciding restrictions on abortions to individual states. So in this case, that involved the state of Mississippi, who chose to restrict abortions, a near total ban on abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. That's well short of what was constitutionally protected up until this point, which was around 23 to 24 weeks. I cannot overstate the import of this moment in American history and what is happening right now. The constitutional right to choose to have an abortion has been overturned. There is a group of protesters who have gathered out in front of the court. There has been a group that has gathered regularly each day that we've gotten opinions, perhaps in anticipation of this decision. And we are seeing the crowd getting larger. There were screams when the opinion came down on the Supreme Court's website. It is a 213-page document that is longer than that leaked draft opinion. And I'm just going to look through it as we're talking here. Several justices have written separately to explain their opinions, including Chief Justice Roberts. Justice Alito writes, there's nothing in the Constitution about abortion. The Constitution does not implicitly protect the right. And again, this decision is delivered by Justice Alito. He's joined by Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett. Thomas and Kavanaugh filed concurring opinions, and Chief Justice Roberts filed an opinion concurring in the judgment. And the court's three liberal justices, Justice Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan, are in dissent. There's loud music playing outside the Supreme Court right now. There's a significant police presence. I was noting before we got the opinion that there was a heavier police presence than normal. They have blocked off access to the Capitol, at least from First Street, which is where the Supreme Court sits right now. Perhaps that was all in anticipation of today's decision. But again, the Supreme Court has overturned the constitutional right to choose to have an abortion. Well, in that draft document, you'll recall we only got a draft majority opinion. which many people noted that was without a dissent and that was without concurring opinions. Chief Justice Roberts wrote separately to concur in the judgment, but not, it seems, to concur in the majority's reasoning. Again, I have not been able to read that, but this document is just much longer because it is a fully fleshed out final decision of the court. When this draft came out, of course, we warned everyone that that was not the final decision of the court. That was simply a draft, and things change over time, and there are edits over time. I'm just piecing through it right now, looking at the document itself, but that was just Justice Alito's majority opinion. But today's decision does back up Politico's reporting, even after the draft leak came out, that there were, in fact, 5 votes on the Supreme Court, a majority of justices, to overturn the constitutional right to choose to have an abortion. I'm getting through the document right now. I'm sure. Well, the night that it came down, there was a crowd of a couple hundred folks. There were people who were praying quietly and had lit candles. There were people who were screaming and yelling and chanting and protesting. At the moment right now, there's really loud music playing, and you can see the crowd. The crowd has actually been growing. You can see people that have walked over from the Capitol area. I can't see beyond the other side of the crowd, but this crowd has definitely gotten bigger. I expect it will continue to do so. But there was just screaming the moment the decision came down. There was both people who were happy about this decision, and there were people who were frustrated and upset and brokenhearted about this decision. And both sides of the issue are protesting at the moment, playing music. There's lots of media who have also surrounded the protesters. We're trying to get pictures and get a camera and get a microphone into the middle. There's a line of police officers who are right behind the protesters, separating the protesters from the Capitol grounds, where there is also a barricade that has been set up, separating the protesters from the Capitol grounds. Again, I'm still piecing through the opinion here, so bear with me as I look at it. Okay. Justices Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan. Right. With sorrow for this court, but more for the many million.
Microphone is hot. Katie, your microphone is hot.
I can talk a little bit now. So it looks like that we will not know exactly until we can do a side-by-side comparison of Justice Alito's majority opinion, but it's similar in length to that draft opinion. But now we have a few additional justices who wrote separately to say why they joined or why they dissented the Supreme Court's momentous decision today to overturn the constitutional right to choose to have an abortion. Now, looking at the dissenters, all three of them wrote together. That doesn't always happen, that they all three agree and speak with one voice. Justices Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan. Again, this will be one of Justice Breyer's final opinions as he is stepping down from the court after this term. But they say, with sorrow for this court, but more for the many millions of American women who have today lost a fundamental constitutional protection, we dissent. And then the Chief Justice Roberts, where there was some question about where he would end up in this case. There were even some leaks to the Wall Street Journal before we got a copy of the draft leaked opinion that were saying perhaps Justice Roberts was trying to pull one of the court's conservative justices over to his side, where he would uphold Mississippi's ban on the 15 weeks, but he would not overturn the constitutional right to choose to have an abortion. And Chief Justice Roberts wrote separately to point that out in his concurring opinion, concurring in the judgment, which means he agrees in the ultimate decision, the judgment of the court. He writes separately to echo what he said at oral argument and what has been reported, that he would have gotten rid of that viability line. So again, as I was just explaining, before today's decision, a person who is pregnant had the right to choose to have an abortion under the Constitution up until about 23 or 24 weeks of pregnancy toward the end of the second trimester. That's called the viability line because that's when a fetus can survive outside the womb. And so the chief would have gotten rid of that viability line, allowed states to curtail the right to abortion somewhere short of that 23 or 24 week mark, but he would have not eviscerated the constitutional right to choose to have an abortion. So he wrote separately in today's opinion to do that. It means he would have upheld Mississippi's 15-week ban, but he would not have gotten, doesn't share the majority's reasoning. And so the dissenters also, go ahead. The dissenters just also say toward the end, whatever the exact scope is of the coming laws, meaning this decision today kicks it back to the states to make their individual decisions about when and how they will curtail abortion in their states. The dissenters say whatever the exact scope of the coming laws, one result of today's decision is certain: the curtailment of women's rights and of their status as free and equal citizens. Some strong words in dissent today. Again, all of them speaking with one voice collectively. Well, the most senior justice in the majority usually assigns the opinion, and to your point, that would have been Justice Thomas here in the court's majority. So it seems that he, in fact, assigned the writing and the drafting of the opinion to Justice Alito. Oftentimes, the most senior justice in the majority will assign it to himself or herself. But in this case, it appears as though Justice Thomas has assigned the opinion to Justice Alito and not to himself. Well, it is certainly a win for those who are pro-life because today eviscerated the constitutional right to choose to have an abortion, the right to choose that is protected federally under our Constitution. And what it did, in effect, then, is it allows all 50 states to make their own decision about how and when they will restrict abortion, at what point in time, whether it's 15 weeks like Mississippi or whether it's later. In the District of Columbia, abortion is generally available throughout the duration of the pregnancy, should the person who is pregnant so choose. So now individual states will get to decide that for themselves. So on the one hand, the constitutional right is eviscerated. That is a win for those who are pro-life. But then individual states will be able to make the choice for themselves whether they will continue to protect the right to choose to have an abortion or further restrict that right. There will be some complicated cases about whether the federal government has the power and authority to allow abortions to take place on federal land. D.C. is always in an interesting and difficult spot. I cannot talk about exactly what that means for the district and the different types of property that we have here in this unique dynamic. But D.C.'s abortion laws right now, I can tell you, allow abortion throughout the duration of the pregnancy. Not necessarily. A judge who has enjoined or pressed pause on a state law will need to press unpause on that state law, taking a look at today's decision. And I suspect that will be happening in a number of cases today. But all of these are going to be very fact-specific cases based on the types of laws, how they work, what the state did, and how they created the mechanism to restrict abortion. But when a judge has pressed pause in an abortion case, it is likely that judge will have to revisit that decision in light of the Supreme Court's decision today and see if that pause button needs to continue. Very similar. Barlow, and I have taken a minute to just look over Justice Alito's majority opinion, and I don't have a document compare electronically, but I do have my very battered and tattered draft copy that I have beaten up and looked at, and a number of the sentences are similar from the drafts, and I just want to walk through some of the things that Justice Alito talks about in his majority opinion here that really highlights the weight and the import and the historic nature of what the Supreme Court is doing here, because we've been talking for a while about the case of abortion and with this draft, but it is rare for the court to overturn itself, to overturn a constitutional right in this way, just extremely rare. So Justice Alito talks about that in the majority opinion, saying, no justice of this court has ever argued that the court should never overrule a constitutional decision, but overruling a precedent is a serious matter. It's not a step that should be taken lightly. And Justice Brett Kavanaugh, during oral argument in this case, talked about a number of cases where the Supreme Court has overturned itself, including when it overturned the fact that it once upheld separate but equal in Brown v. Board of Education. And there are a number of times when the court has done it, but every time it has done it, as Justice Alito says in the majority, it does not take that step lightly. And he points to 5 factors that help the court make that step and weigh in favor strongly of overruling Roe and Casey, saying it's the nature of the court's error when they originally decided the case, the quality of the court's reasoning, the workability of the rules. He talks about how lower courts have had to grapple with the court's reasoning in Roe v. Wade, the disruptive effect on other areas of the law, and the absence of concrete reliance. There was a lot of talk about reliance in this case and how women in this country have come to rely on access to abortion, the right to choose to have an abortion. And in the law, that is an argument that is made when there is a reliance on a right or a reliance on a ruling from the court. That's part of the reason why precedent is so important at the court, because when the court speaks, when the court puts out a decision, the country relies on it. And so there was an argument that women had been relying on the right to abortion. I also want to talk about there was a line from this decision that was in the draft, and it is also in the decision, in the final decision from Justice Alito, where he refers to Roe v. Wade as egregiously wrong and deeply damaging. That was in the draft opinion, and it once again appears in the final decision, saying it was egregiously wrong on the day it was decided. Roe was egregiously wrong and deeply damaging. I also want to point out that that Justice Thomas writes separately to talk about his own reasoning in this case and why he is in the majority. But there's a note that he makes in his concurrence where he writes separately, saying that in future cases the court could reconsider all of the court's substantive due process precedents. That's a legal term, and I'll explain it, but including Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell. Those are the cases that folks were concerned about that might go if Roe were overturned. Those are cases that are upheld under the same logic, and that's the right to choose same-sex, to marry a same-sex couple, and the right to privately choose to use birth control. Griswold is the famous case where a couple's right to choose birth control was upheld, and later that right was upheld for individuals. So those cases were decided using a similar logic, similar reasoning as Roe v. Wade. And there's concern from many that if the court were to overturn Roe v. Wade, then those cases would come next. And Justice Thomas does write in his concurrence, this is not the majority's opinion, but Justice Thomas does write in the future that the court should reconsider the court's cases there because Roe was wrongly decided, and that framework, he's saying, is wrongly reasoned. Anything is possible. It's always true that something can come back up to the court, but at this point, you have to, as is always the case, you have to have 4 justices on the court to agree for the court to hear a case. So 4 justices in Dobbs agreed that they wanted the court to hear this case, to weigh in on abortion, to rule on abortion. And so after they have spoken so clearly in overturning, as Justice Alito says, they did not do it lightly, I would find it unlikely that there would be 4 justices who would in any time soon want to take this issue up again. This will now go back to the individual states where they will have to grapple with what this decision means for their state, and the state legislators will have to decide how they and if they will restrict the right to choose to have an abortion. I would not expect this issue in particular to come up. Now, there may be follow-along issues about how much can be restricted and what that means and liberty interests that women have. But again, there is no longer a constitutional, federally protected right to choose to have an abortion, so they would no longer have that argument coming before the court in challenging any individual state law that may come up after this.
They were trying to send somebody your way to have you interview them.
Okay.
You aware?
Hi, is this Katie? Yeah, I'm ready. Good morning to both of you. So it has been just about an hour now, a little under an hour, since the Supreme Court released what will be a landmark decision overturning the constitutional right to choose to have an abortion that was previously protected as a federal constitutional right, and that is no longer. An opinion today from the Supreme Court written by Justice Samuel Alito, the author of that leaked draft opinion reported by Politico that also overturned the constitutional right to choose to have an abortion. So far, from what I've taken a look at, the actual opinion tracks similarly from the majority opinion. Both of those look similar. We have separate writings from the other justices now and a dissent. There's a lot of concern from the justices in dissent that this case will perhaps lead to losing other rights that have been upheld by the Constitution, up by the Supreme Court under the Constitution, as they write, including a right to same-sex marriage, the right recognized in Loving to marry across racial lines. The justices who are in dissent explicitly writing that those are, according to the majority, no liberty interest is present. All of those cases were found to have similar liberty interests as Roe. So what today means, today's decision basically kicks the issue back to the states. There is now no longer a federal constitutional right to choose to have an abortion. Now, individual states and the state legislatures will decide for themselves how they will regulate abortion within their own state. And so that's the effect of today's decision, today's majority decision today from the court. Individual legislatures will make that decision. We've seen a number of them have already made that decision, restricting abortion shy of what was protected up until today, which was the right to choose to have an abortion up until about 23 or 24 weeks of pregnancy. And now individual states' laws who have already passed those laws well shy of that will likely be able to put those laws into effect. Hi. Okay. Okay. No worries. Thanks. Okay, we need to get MOS.
Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Check, check, check.
Okay, great. Yeah, let's do that. So tell me who you're with.
I'm the president and CEO of the Conservative Women for America, and also our project is Young Women from the Arctic System.
Got it. Have you guys been out here throughout?
Yes, yes. Since Dobbs, well, on many, many occasions. We brought 2,000 women for the December 1st oral arguments.
Got it.
And then we've been
Oh, you guys got to see the oral argument? I mean, you got to be
we
here
were
for the
yeah,
oral
we had
argument.
2,000 women
Nobody
out
was
here.
allowed in.
From all over the
Nobody's
country.
been
Yes,
allowed in.
yes. And then we had, we've been out here every decision day since the league.
Okay, got it.
Like you.
Concerned Women for
For
America.
America,
Penny
Nance.
Nance?
Nance.
Got it. Penny Nance. Got it. I'll just tell them we're ready when you guys are.
We don't mind.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
We're ready to go. If you want to do an interview?
Into the microphone.
We're ready to go live if you want to do an interview. Okay. They're going to go to one reporter and then they're going to come to us.
Sounds good.
So how many?
Oh gosh, I don't know. They're everywhere. There's some of ours. Probably.
They're actually going to come to us now. Is there anything you want to make sure that I ask you? Okay.
My dad.
It's all right.
Good TV.
That's true. It could look like sweat today.
Yeah, you're right.
Can you roll on this? Hi there. We're talking with folks. There has been a crowd gathered here since before the opinion came down in anticipation of the big opinion today. One of them who's been here since oral argument multiple days for this decision is Penny Nance with Concerned Women of America. Penny, how are you feeling?
Just such a mix of emotions. Thank you so much, Katie. You know, Concerned Women for America is the nation's largest public policy women's organization. We have 500,000 members around this country, and we started in 1979. So there's so many women who came before me. I feel such a deep gratitude for who've worked so hard for so many years, brought their children and went to the March for Life, have gone to their state legislatures and advocated for life, women who came out to our Women for Amy, Women for Kavanaugh, Women for Gorsuch bus tours as we got confirmation for 3 important justices today. Gratitude to God that I'm here to get to see this moment, but certainly sadness, deep sadness, that we've lost senselessly 63 million babies since Roe in 1973.
So what does today's decision mean? It's a near 50-year precedent that the Supreme Court has overturned the constitutional right to choose to have an abortion. States will now be able to decide for themselves, but what does today's decision mean to you and your group?
Well, it means so much to us because we've worked so hard for this, but also we are determined to work on a state-by-state basis. As you said, it doesn't immediately make certainly abortion illegal all over the country. It means that we have to work even harder. We have to bring people to our side, and so do the other side, the people who disagree with us. Nobody gets a free ride. They're in the same position we've been in. So we are working in every state. We're advocating for life. Now that no longer does the federal government decide that you can't have rules pre-viability, we can actually have a conversation about what people believe. And polling data tells us the majority of American people are much more in line with us than with Planned Parenthood, who thinks abortion should be legal up until birth, right? So that's not what people think. The other thing is alternatives, offering alternatives to women. We are 100%. Our women are the ones who have been going and working in the pregnancy care centers, have been giving their time, their money, bringing women to their home. We've got to have more.
I noticed that you're wearing a ring around your neck as a necklace. What is that ring?
You know, just in remembrance, 2 years ago, I lost my father, who was a pastor. He was the person who showed me a very grainy sonogram when I was a teenager that was called the silent scream. And at that moment, I understood life in the womb. You know, sonograms changed the opinion for so many people. That's why you have all these young people out here today. Our young Women for America leaders, they own their own sonograms. Science caught up with the lie of abortion. That's why we're standing here today.
There are large groups protesting out here. Penny, thank you for joining us. You can see behind me there are groups on both sides of this issue who are protesting out here that have been gathered, as I said, before the decision came down. They've been gathering each day the Supreme Court has announced opinions, and today was the day. So both sides of the issue protesting, and I'll reiterate that this has been a peaceful protest. There have been screams, there's been yelling, there's been a shouting match even back and forth with people who had microphones, but everything has remained peaceful so far. There's a significant police presence from the Capitol police officers. I also see Supreme Court officers behind the fence. You can see bubbles going up from the crowd and signs, cheering and chanting. So a historic moment today outside the court. Both sides of the issue are out here protesting, expressing their feelings about the historic nature of what happened in that building right there today. But everything so far has remained peaceful. Guys?
we're back. We're good.
Okay. All right.
Women will decide their fate.
All right. We're going to do an interview. So where do you want to do it? Here?
Women will decide their
It's pretty
fate.
loud here. It's up to you.
Let's do it here if we can.
Shout and hold the mic
She's
close
gonna.
to her
I'm going to
mouth.
talk to her.
Women will decide their fate.
So are you comfortable if we're talking live?
That's all right.
Okay. Tell me your name.
My name is Lou.
Lou?
Say them.
Lou?
Lou, they them.
Lou.
Now it's on. Hang on. All right, we're back.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to look into it.
Okay. We're ready when you
check. And I don't want to deal with that wireless, so I'll have you use that.
Is that ours? That's not ours, right?
No. I think that's channel 7. They use.
I'm sorry?
I think that's channel 7.
Okay. I've got you. Okay, they're going to one reporter, and then I suspect they're going to come to us. They're going to somebody at the White House right now. The president's going to speak in about an hour, I'm hearing. So just be a couple minutes. Thank you. Okay. Sound check, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Okay. I was just checking for Doug.
Make sure you keep the mic close to our guest when we do the interview.
I'm sorry?
Hold the mic close.
Okay. Probably about 1 minute.
And remind me your name.
Katie. I'm Katie Barlow. I guess there's people protesting at the White House. I just got to stand by, so they're coming to us soon. Well, as we've been talking about, today's decision allows those states to make those decisions now. There's no longer a federal right, a constitutionally protected right to choose to have an abortion. And so individual states, like the ones you just mentioned who have those trigger laws, are allowed to move forward with those restrictions on the right to choose because there is no longer a constitutional protection of that right. So we're still out here at the Supreme Court. I'm here with Lou, and they have been here not only today, but also when that leaked draft came out, so they're familiar with what this atmosphere has been like and how intense it's been out here outside the Supreme Court. As I said, it's been continued to be peaceful, but Lou, you said this morning you saw the opinion on your laptop and then closed it, but you know obviously the result of today's historic decision. And what brings you out here?
I think what brings me out here is just how important it is to show how angry we are, to show how devastated we all are by this, you know. This is a decision that is going to cost people their lives, their safety, their access to health care, a basic human right. And so, to me, showing up here is showing them that I won't be brought down by this. I will continue advocating. I will continue showing up to the polls. I'll continue donating to nonprofits, to different campaigns across the U.S., even in places I don't live, because it's important that this does not stand.
You said you were out here the night that the leaked draft opinion happened. We were also out here covering what was happening. How does today feel different than that night?
Today just feels heavier. It's just devastating, and you feel that energy, that disappointment, you know. We all knew this was coming, but still to watch it happen, to see it happen, to experience this is a lot. It's a lot of weight, it's a lot of pressure, you know. We now are losing all of this access, and now we have to fight even harder for things that we are already fighting for. We are already fighting for better access to safe and legal abortions, and now we have to work that much harder. And it's going to affect a lot of people in a lot of different communities, whether that's rural communities, low-income communities. It's going to impact a lot of people. And it's just really heavy to know that everyone here knows somebody or is somebody who will be directly impacted.
We talked a little bit about before we joined that this has been peaceful so far. You said you live here in D.C. That's important to you. How do you feel about how things have been going with both sides out here today?
Yeah, I think that, you know, I was watching the news initially prior to the opinion being released, and I was initially very nervous seeing both sides out here today. But I've been very grateful that everything I've seen has been pretty peaceful. That's really important to me. This is where I live, and I want where I live to be safe. And so it's important to me that it remains peaceful.
As we said, everything remains peaceful out here. Protests are continuing, and the crowd has been growing. Back to you guys. Thank you, Lou. Stay safe. Can we go check on our stuff?
You're
My
going
bag.
Yeah, okay.
going till Biden speaks, then we're going to go off the air after Biden speaks. So they want us to keep getting MOS until Biden speaks, which
Live
is
on the air?
going to be an hour,
It's going to be an hour from now. Okay.
probably.
All right. Whatever you want to do. I apologize for the mic shit. We're going to have to go with the hardwiring. So, well, you know what?
That's easy peasy.
We,
I need to read the decision.
you need the what?
I need to read the opinion. I don't have MOS, but you can talk to me if you want to talk to me. What do you want?
Just talk.
Do you want me to go get MOS? Sorry, what was it?
Just real quick.
Yeah.
Leonard Leo of the Federalist
Yeah.
Society understood 20 years ago that they could not win
Yeah.
the culture wars at the ballot box
Yeah.
or in the public square.
Yeah.
They had to stack the fruits. $600 million later, we've got six
Why are people running?
far-right extremist Catholics.
Do you want to talk to us?
I can.
Abortion is murder! Abortion is oppression! Abortion is murder! Abortion is oppression!
I don't know who that is.
Fucking lie!
Do you want to talk to us?
Sure, what do they say?
I don't know. They jumped or something?
No. But I was just wondering about the barricade, and then she came by and I seen her.
Who is that?
No idea.
Can you tell me your name, sir?
Tom Carter.
Tom Carter.
Yeah.
You want to come talk to us?
Yeah.
I was
a reporter for 20 years. I worked for Leo for 3.
You worked for Leonard Leo?
I did.
Oh,
at the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom.
And you are now on the other side of.
I've always been on the other
Okay.
side. Anyway, just
Where were you a reporter?
Washington Times.
Washington Times. Okay.
I left because you can go back and look at the clips, but I discovered that some of our senior editors are what they now call the alt-right, and I protested. Nobody was going to change, so I used to tell people I could work for conservatives, but I can't work for Nazis. And it's gotten worse. It's gotten much worse. They purged my byline after I left. 25 years of clips.
Ah. They purged your what?
My byline.
Ah.
If you look at it, anyway, it's weird.
Tell me your name one more time.
Tom Carter.
Tom Carter. Okay. Have you been out here for any of the other opinion days?
No,
Sorry to interrupt. Can you step forward and
Yes.
turn to him? You stay where
Yep.
you are, and you come forward.
Okay.
And then turn toward him. That
You
way
got it.
He's not looking away from me.
Okay. Hudson, could you figure out what that was? Ah. That was inside the barricade? Oh, I see.
I could probably figure out who it was.
Tom Carter. Got it. Where are you now, Tom? Are you retired?
yeah,
Do you live in D.C.?
a couple blocks away.
Oh, okay. So you've dealt with all of this for a while.
Yeah, I try to come down on historic days. Seems like
Have you been here on other historic days?
when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died
Ah.
and what else? Some of the gun stuff. Not yesterday, I didn't come yesterday. Although I have to say, guns is more of an issue for me than abortion. I mean, I support this stuff. I'm much more interested in
What do you make of yesterday's decision?
Well, I mean, it was expected. It was. These guys are originalists in states' rights when they want to be, but they're not when they don't want to be. It's ideological driven. It's not law driven.
We're going to go in probably just a minute or so. Yeah. It'll be easy peasy. I got you. Got it.
I've got a face note for radio.
That's not true. Dan Carter. Tom Carter. I'm sorry, Tom.
What's your name?
Katie Barlow.
5, is that Fox?
Yeah, Fox 5. Channel 5. Now,
Bill Salmon?
yeah, it's a good question. It actually appears to be pretty even on both sides. There's a strong presence from both sides here who are chanting and playing music.
this shit's heavily done. Do it, man. I want to know what it says. Can you read the flag?
Me? No, I can't.
Can you see it from the camera?
Well, I mean, you can look. It's basically just the same.
Oh, the same view.
Yeah, same view. Anything else right now? Well, I'm heading to the Supreme Court right now, so I'll see you later. Feel like fun? Yeah. Oh, this dude is up there. Yeah. I'm not even sure. Like protesting something. You're like the Frederick Douglass Bridge that they were going to
Guns are now illegal in South Dakota. Yes. Has it been controversial? Of course. Before 1974, it was controversial. It will always be controversial. Sure.
Why look like two people over there?
Slide.
Wow.
We can't have photos for Instagram. I don't know if it's regular. But it's yellow flag. That is one of the big old car that I don't know.
This dude, wow.
People are trying to come home.
You got way.
I got 12 kids.
I didn't realize that they
What? Hi, Dawn.
appreciate it.
I can just stand there. 25 for me. Come on. Talk to me about it. Getting a photo and just taking panorama photos.
This is
What's your name on it?
I mean, I have the 13, but I have this 12 on it, so...
I know. It's in my phone. I was at the pool.
Well, there's a few.
I assume it has to do with the Supreme Court stuff. But yeah, I just don't know what the meaning behind any of it is. Like, there's no words on the green.
No, I don't even know what the green represents.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't. What side's he on? Is he happy or mad?
No. Apparently he laughed.
Oh, it sucks.
So he got like a little thing.
At one point, I saw him sitting. He had lunch.
He said they bought his friends. Yeah, trying to get him
over under?
2 hours. I think a little longer than that. He had snacks and everything. Yeah, he brought his suntan lotion and a sandwich. He's ready to go. We'll keep recording long enough. Eventually, you're going to watch him take a piss off all the time.